Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and I've got another Battlefield 3 video here for you guys. And in this video I've got some more Team Deathmatch gameplay here for you guys. This is going to be a round of Team Deathmatch on Kharg Island, which is probably, along with No Shark Canals, the map that you're going to see the most frequently if you do play Team Deathmatch consistently. A lot of servers play either No Shark Canals or Kharg Island, or a combination of the two. So you'll see this map a lot if you play any Team Deathmatch. And this round actually came immediately after the round that I posted the last Team Deathmatch gameplay video that I posted I think a week ago now, with the AAK on No Shark Canals. And funnily enough, I actually got a almost identical score to that round. And although I was using the AK74-M, as you can see in this video, or in this gameplay, and as a reward, I ended up getting banned from the server. So. That was nice, but anyways, so I thought I would do something similar to, or kind of format this video similarly to the one that I did last week, where I wanted to talk a little bit about the gun and then a little bit about my strategy for playing Team Deathmatch on this map. And so, as I mentioned, I'm using the AK74-M assault rifle, and I've got some more Cobra Red Dot sight action in this gameplay. I've been using a lot of this scope. Not really for any reason in particular, more just that, you know, it's, I mean, I couldn't really tell you what I like better about it than the red dot sight, but for whatever reason it just, you know, it's probably just the fact that everybody else uses it, so that's, that's why I use it, I don't know. But, that's what I've got on this weapon, and then I've also I've got the same setup as I did in that AEK video. I've got the underbarrel, or the underslung rail, and I don't know how, I should have killed that guy. My hip fire accuracy was terrible there, but anyway, so yeah, I've got the undersling rail equipped and the flash suppressor equipped, and so this gun, while it does have a slower firing rate, so that kind of makes it not as good at really close ranges. It's just not as great at hip firing because it doesn't pump out bullets as quickly as the AEK does. But at medium ranges with the flash suppressor equipped, this thing is a laser, and I was mowing guys down from medium ranges over the course of this entire round. And you know, I've definitely heard that the AK74-M has been pretty good, or it's a pretty good gun since the patch came out. And I used it a little bit, but I was definitely impressed in this round, and I definitely found it was a really effective weapon. And not so much for close range, for really close ranges, but at medium ranges and even at long ranges, I could, you know, get damage on enemies pretty quickly and take them out. So I mean, there you see, that's a pretty good long-range kill, I think. And you know, I'm not using the heavy barrel either. So this is a weapon where you can engage longer-range targets and have success. And it's got pretty minimal recoil. I mean, I'm sure the flash suppressor helps out with that, but it's definitely a gun that you can full auto with at medium ranges and get most of your bullets on target. So I've had fun with this weapon this round, and I think it's definitely a worthwhile weapon to try out if you haven't used it in a while. Now I wanted to talk about some strategies for playing Team Deathmatch on this map on Kharg Island. And as I mentioned before, you do see this map quite a bit on Team Deathmatch server rotations. And I actually think it's a pretty similar map in layout to No Shark Canals. It's a little bigger than No Shark Canals, obviously, but it's got, you know, a similar layout in that you have that sort of center area with all those crates where you can do a lot of like running in and out of with a shotgun, and then, you know, it's also got the flank routes on either side, and I mean, it's a little bigger, and it has a little more room to it. It's you know, and the spawn points, I think, are a little bit, you know, slightly different. There's the well-defined spawn point in the building that's to my left now, and then there's kind of this area spread out outside the building that's kind of, it's less clear exactly where people spawn. And one thing I found over the course of this round is that when the enemy was spawning in this area that they're spawning at now, which I'm trying to attack, and I kind of pushed through on one side, I found that oftentimes I would get through a couple of enemies, and then they would actually spawn behind me. So when I got into their spawn, I had to be really careful about enemies spawning behind me. And you know, part of that just is the fact that you know, you still have a bunch of teammates that are probably just camping in the building back where you usually spawn. So you know, just having a couple people push up isn't enough to switch the spawns. But that is something just to be careful about. And here you can see the teammate of mine just died behind me, and So I had to turn around and to deal with some enemies that were behind me, and that guy with the P90 seemed to be the only guy that managed to really, I think he accounted for at least half of my deaths over the course of this round. It's kind of strange how that happens, but he just always seemed to find me in the worst situations, and whether I was reloading or sprinting or whatever, I just he was the only one that seemed to be able to kill me. So this building area is definitely an area to be careful of and to be kind of wary of. You do get some people who like to camp in here, and it's very easy to hide in some obscure spot or in some corner in this building. So it is something to be careful about. I mean, if you have lots of teammates in there, or if that's where your teammate is spawning, then it's not something. Obviously, you're probably not going to find too many enemies there. But if you're trying to attack that spot, and you know, if the enemy is spawning in that building, it can be very difficult to predict where you're going to find an enemy, because people do like to hide in you know, some of those rooms and some of those second levels. And you know, similar to what I was talking about earlier, it's very easy to get somebody to spawn right behind you, especially in that area if you're the only one who's pushed up into the building. So you do have to be a little cautious when you're playing. I mean, just with team deathmatch in general, I think you have to be a little cautious when you're pushing up, because it's not like you can capture a flag where the enemy can't spawn in that location anymore. It's kind of the game mechanics has to determine, you know, when the enemy stops spawning in that area, just because team deathmatch spawns are so random. And you know, I mean, the spawning is definitely better, I think, than it was when the game first came out, but you do still get some really ridiculous spawns, and so it's just something to be careful about. So I know I talked about in the live commentary, or the team deathmatch live commentary session that I did a couple weeks ago, I talked about for this map, I think actually 3 of those rounds were on this map, now that I think about it, but I talked about how it was best to sort of stay out of this center area, and you know, because it's just difficult to, once you get into the center area, when you're really exposed on all sides, it's difficult to stay alive and to, you know, cover yourself. And you know, while I think to a certain extent that is true, in this round I did try a little more going into that center area instead of just sticking to the outskirts of this map. And you know, whereas in No Shark Canals, where there's just really, everything is so close that it's really tough if you're using an assault rifle to play in such close proximity to all your enemies. I think in this map it is possible to do, or to have a little more success if you do that. Obviously, you don't want to just go running through that area, and you know, as soon as you kill somebody, just go sprinting up and through in between those crates. You do want to be a little bit cautious. But as you kind of see me do in this video, if you situate yourself correctly in those crates, and you do get a lot of enemies kind of running through that area. It is a pretty high traffic zone, especially when they're spawning outside this building. I think it's harder when the enemy is spawning in this building to really flank into their spawn points. It's a little easier when they're spawning in the area that they're spawning right now. And I mean, I think they're really, the enemy team was spawning in that area pretty much the entire round. So I would definitely say, to the extent that it's possible, try to make it so, or try to get it so the enemy is spawning outside the building, because there's much less cover for the enemy team to use in you know, in the back where there's all those all the crates. But there's kind of more open space in the back, whereas you know, if they're spawning in the building, they have a ton of cover, and it's very easy for them to just kind of, as I said, entrench themselves there. So it's much easier to flank the enemy when they're spawning outside the building. And you know, I think that's probably part of the reason I was able to have a little more success moving into the middle of the crates, was because I kind of, you know, I knew I had some teammates behind me that could, you know, were overwatching that area, either in the building or kind of near the building, where they had cover, and they could back me up as I sort of tried to move up a little bit and create a line to prevent the enemy team from getting through. And so, as I said, you know, you definitely do get a lot of enemies moving through this middle area, either trying to sneak through, or you know, you get people using shotguns who like to run through this area a lot as well. And so I definitely got a lot of kills just by kind of hanging around this area. And I definitely didn't play too aggressively in moving through this area. I just kind of, you know, whenever I saw an enemy spotted, I would try to make sure that he couldn't sneak through or get through our lines and get into the building. And so I think this round is just about coming to an end. I did have to cut out some of the gameplay just to make the video a reasonable length. I think most of these team deathmatch rounds that are 300 tickets last at least 15 minutes, and generally speaking, I like to keep my videos to at the most 10 minutes. So I know this one's a little longer than usual, and it's a little longer than I would like it to be, but I thought the gameplay was pretty good. And as I mentioned earlier, I ended up getting almost, I think it's actually pretty much identical final score to the one that I got in the No Strike Canals Team Deathmatch round that I posted with when I was using the AAK last week. And I would definitely say the AK74-M is a worthwhile gun to try out. I had a lot of fun using it. It's not great at really close range, but it is really good at medium range, so definitely try that out. And otherwise, thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.